How can it explain pro-social behavior? Now, whatever Charles Darwin in 1859 said, okay, we understand. But how does this explain, Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, explain the pro-social behavior of mankind, of humans? Okay. Now, if people's overriding goal is to ensure their own survival, why would they ever help others also? Others at a cost out to themselves, right? This sounds very, very logical. So we are saying that people are very selfish also. They take care of themselves even though they help others. But if this is the case that people's overriding goal is to ensure their own survival, whatever Charles Darwin says, then why would they ever help others, and especially at a cost to themselves? So, one way that evolutionary psychology, the answer to this is that one way that evolutionary psychologists attempt to resolve this dilemma is with the notion of kin selection. This is the kin selection. What is kin selection? The idea that behaviors that help a genetic relative, please understand it carefully, behaviors that help a genetic relative are favored by natural selection. By natural selection only, these are favored. Favored means they are given preference. People can increase the chances that the genes will be passed along not only by having their own children, but also ensuring that their genetic relatives have children. So it doesn't stop at only this. The genetics relatives also have the procreation ability. It sees to that. Now, because a person's blood relatives share some of his or her genes, the more that person ensures their survival, the greater the chance that his or her genes will flourish in future generations. So that is what evolutionary theory of Darwin suggests. Thus, natural selection should favor altruistic acts directed towards genetic relatives. So, here we get the answer. The natural selection which is taking place also favors altruistic acts. And what are altruistic acts? Helping others, being pro social is all, being kind, being nice, and all. Now, what are the goals and motives of pro social behavior? It's reasonable to ask why we should expect anyone to be helpful. After all, helping usually involves the giving away of resources, whether it is time, energy, funds, etc. So these are all resources are very limited, right? Time is only 24 hours, and energy also, we have limited energy. So, in spite of having all limited resources, why are people ready to give away their all these limited resources to help others? Is the question. Indeed, significant bodies of research in social psychology point to several goals that pro social action can serve. So, what are the goals of pro social action? Let us look into it. We can help to improve our own basic welfare. We do it because we want to improve our own basic welfare, increase social status and approval, and manage our self image and manage our moods and emotions. So, all these are the factors because of which we have this pro social behavior of helping and being empathetic to our people. Anything you have not understood, any of you have not understood in these points? Managing our moods and emotions. Have you all understood what it means by that? Managing a self-image. How does self-image is involved in this? Because you feel nice. When you're helping others, your ego gets satisfied. So the self-image increases. You feel, I've helped these people. Oh my God, I have been kind to these people. So that kind of self-image increases. Now, motives. To explain pro-social behavior, evolutionary psychologists also point to the norm of reciprocity. Norm of reciprocity means, as I've told you earlier also, means you help someone, she will help back to you. Suppose X is helping Y, Y also helps X back. This is reciprocal. And this reciprocal, it is a norm, rule of reciprocity that when you are helping someone, that someone also will help you back, which is the expectation that helping others will increase the likelihood that they will help us in future. If not immediately, in future at least they will help you back, that confidence you have. So this is one of the motives. Second is that in some evolutionary psychologists believe that people help others because of three factors. What are the three factors? That have become ingrained in our genes. Mind you, this is not intellectual or something. These three factors are ingrained in our genes. Genes mean in our very existence. These factors are ingrained. What are they? One is kin selection, second is the norm of reciprocity, and the ability to learn and follow social norms. So these three are the motives which are ingrained in us, which push us, rather inspire us to be have this pro-social behavior. I hope you have understood kin selection. Just now we have done explain, and the norm of reciprocity also, that if you help, the other person will help you sometime in future, and the ability to learn and follow social norms. There are certain social norms which say that you helping each other, those people also will help each other. These are the social norms. The third one is the evolutionary psychology is a challenging and creative approach to understanding pro-social behavior, though it does have its critics. It does have its critics, means see, all theories have their many drawbacks. No theory is totally perfect. So this evolutionary psychology also is approach. It isn't a creative approach very much, but it has its own drawbacks and critics. Next, coming to social exchange theory. Now, what does this theory say? As the term suggests, exchange, social exchange. Exchanging means you are doing something, someone else is doing. So this is an exchange. This social exchange theory tells us that the costs and rewards of helping. Although some social psychologists disagree with evolutionary approaches to pro-social behavior, they share. As I told you, evolutionary approaches, it has its own drawbacks. So some psychologists believe, social psychologists believe that the evolutionary approaches are not appropriate. So they have developed pro-social behavior. Social exchange theory has been developed to explain why people have this social pro-social behavior. They share the view that it can be based on self interest. What is the catchword here? Self interest. So, social action theory argues that much of what we do stems from the desire to maximize our rewards and minimize our costs. The difference from evolutionary approaches is that social exchange theory doesn't trace this desire back to our evolutionary roots, nor does it assume that the desire is genetically based. So, what is the drawback of evolutionary theory? It doesn't anywhere speak about desire of human beings to maximize its benefits. But having said that, social exchange theory says that this also exists, maximizing the benefit. So the desire is to help the maximize our rewards and minimize our costs. Means while minimizing our costs, we are trying to maximize our rewards by the social exchange theory. Whereas the evolutionary theory is something very different. Mind you, when you're writing answers also, If you can compare, suppose a question is asked on some theory, explain clearly or critically examine a social exchange theory, suppose for example, then when you're explaining that, you have to bring other theories, compare and contrast, and then you need to explain. Then it will fetch you more marks. So the difference from evolutionary approaches is that social exchange theory doesn't trace this desire back to our evolutionary roots. It doesn't talk anything about evolutionary root, nor does it assume that the desire is genetically based. These two, it doesn't admit that it has social exchange theory, unlike the unlike the evolutionary theory. The social exchange theories assume that just as people in an economic marketplace try to maximize the ratio of their monetary profits to their monetary losses, people in their relationships with others try to maximize the ratio of social rewards to social costs. Very simple. Like market exchange, how you do monetary profits are there. So also monetary losses, monetary profits. That's what we look into it. So also in the social exchange theory, we tend to see that what are the rewards, social rewards, and what are the social costs, and then we act on that. The third one is the empathy and altruism. The pure motive for helping. What is the pure motive for helping? People's motives are sometimes purely altruistic. There's nothing else involved. No social exchange, no what is that genetic theory, nothing, evolutionary theory. Simply that people are basically, they have the helping tendency, they are purely altruistic. In that their only goal is to help the other person, even if doing so involves some cost to themselves. That is what this theory claims. Pure altruism is likely to come into play when we feel empathy for the person in need for helping, putting ourselves in the shoes of another person and experiencing events and emotions the way that person experiences them. Just now, I think Pujita or someone just told simply to help others. That is what it belongs to, empathy and altruism. I hope all these are clear. Okay. Now, to sum up, we have identified three basic motives underlying pro social behavior. Helping is an instinctive reaction to promote the welfare of those genetically similar to us. That is one. Second is that the rewards of helping often outweigh the costs. So helping is in our self-interest, social exchange theory. That is what social exchange theory says. And the third one, under some conditions, powerful feelings of empathy and compassion for the victim prompt selfless giving. Empathy altruism hypothesis. It is called empathy altruism hypothesis. Now, each of these supporter approaches has its supporters and critics. As I have told you, any any theory definitely has certain advantages and disadvantages. Critics mean they try to point out the limitations of the theory. So these three theories are there with their these approaches. Each of these approaches has its supporters and critics as well. Have you all understood all these three? Is it clear, Pujita?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us move on to bystander effect. This is a very, very important concept. It is bystander effect. What is it? Bystander, the name itself suggests that you are witnessing, you are viewing something. That's all. Bystander. You're a bystander. Now consider the following situation. You are walking across an icy street, lose your footing as you step up in the curb and fall, injuring your knee. Because of your pain and the sickness of the eyes, you find that you can't get back on your feet. This is a phenomenon which has happened. Now, there are two, three situations connecting to this. One is, suppose the block is relatively deserted. Deserted means no one is there in that area where you have fallen. And only one person is close enough to witness your accident. Or the second situation is, The block is crowded and a dozen people can see what happened. This is the second situation. Common sense suggests that the more bystanders, you know who bystanders standers are? Okay, bystanders are the people who are witnessing the event or incident happening on the road, is known as a bystander. So the more bystanders that are present, the more likely you are to be helped. Generally, what do you think? Oh, more people are there, so your chances are that you'll get more help. That is what we think. But look here, you will get a shock of your life. And that is in the first situation, you are forced to depend on the assistance of just one individual. And that person's decision is to help or not help you. Only one person, I told you, one situation is that when only one person is close by. So what happens? So your whole thing depends on that person's decision, whether he wants to help you or doesn't want to help you, and that person's decision to help you or not to help you. In the second situation with 12 witnesses, there would seem to be much greater chance that at least one of them will be motivated to behave in a pro-social way. The more witnesses present at an emergency, the more likely the victims are to receive help. That is what we think. However, this is not the case. Why? Because if there are more people, suppose 11, 12 people, a crowd is there, each one will think, oh, chalo, doesn't matter. That person will help her. The other person will help her. Thinking like that, no one will come forward. Whereas the situation where is only one person is there, if he decides, oh, no one is here, let me help, there is a chances that he will come out and help. Now, in sum, deciding to help in an emergency situation is not a simple one time decision. Rather, it involves a number of steps or decisions, and only if all of these decisions are positive does actual help occur. So generally what we think is, so it's so easy in an emergency situation, someone will definitely decide and come to help. No, that is not the case. That is what this theory says. Deciding to help also is not a simple one time decision. It involves number of steps or decisions. So have you all understood the pro-social behavior totally, the theories and everything? Yes, Pujita, Sarita?
Yes, ma'am.
So now let's move on to the second concept, which is aggression. What do you understand by aggression?
Aggression means angry.
Yes, becoming violent, behaving in a very aggressive way, hitting, pulling, shouting very loudly. This is aggression. Aggression is aggressive behavior. Now, aggression basically involves actions designed to harm others in some way. That is the main target. When a person is very aggressive, his intention is to harm the other person. For whatever the reason, he may be angry, very angry, whatever the reason, frustrated. So, his decision is to harm the other person. The modern connected world in which we currently live offers new ways of accomplishing this goal. In the past, aggression involved face to face assaults against others, either verbal or physical, or indirect efforts to harm them through such tactics as spreading malicious rumors about them. All these also are included in aggression, spreading all wrong information, fake stories, then assaults, beating someone, or verbally, either verbally or physically. All these are included in aggression. But now there are many new and deadly ways to harm others. Earlier,
Ma'am,
yes.
ma'am, screaming out but not doing anything, like this kind of attitude.
That cannot be called aggression.
Okay, okay.
Screaming
Means
means, yeah, screaming, okay, verbally it is, but it has to be very violent screaming. Aggression is it's the height of it. See, you get angry, you scold someone, That is one level of aggression, very mild level of aggression. Screaming and harming, hurting someone in a very serious way comes under aggression. Got it?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. So now, as they said that, but now there are many new and deadly ways to harm others. Sexting can be one of them. See, this is becoming very common nowadays with this high tech technology and all, spreading all false rumors, spoiling the images of others unnecessarily. All this also comes under aggression. But so too can using the web to spread embarrassing photos with other kinds of content and smear campaigns designed to harm and target reputations. Targeting reputations also is one of the characteristics of being aggressive. I mean, in a nutshell, in a simple way, anything which will harm the other person. That's all is aggression. Now, overall, many people believe that we are now living in an age when humiliating others is viewed as more acceptable than it was in the past. Given the pervasiveness of aggression and violence, it is not surprising that social psychologists have sought to obtain a greater understanding of the roots of aggression to gain insights into its nature and causes. See, the aggression earlier, the ways of being aggression, hurting others, damaging others was very different. Now it is becoming more and more different with all this technology and all. So, with the increasing damage is causing, with the increasing seriousness of aggressiveness, aggression and all, social psychologists have given more importance to understand what are the roots of aggression. Why does so much of aggression take place? To gain insights into its nature and causes. What is the nature of aggression? What are the causes will lead to aggression? Now, aggression, like other forms of social behavior, is often a response to something in the social world around us. So, what is aggression actually? It is in response to something in the social world around us. It is connected to the social world around us. In other words, it often occurs in response. It is response to something. Just like that, it doesn't come up. It something triggers and you respond in an aggressive way. So now determinants of aggression. What are the determinants of aggression? Social causes. One is social causes are, this is the social causes. What is that? Being rejected or excluded by others. This is one reason when a person gets aggressive. Please remember these one points, very important points these are. Now, others often leads to increase in aggression against them by the excluded individuals, which in turn could lead to even more exclusion, a kind of self-perpetuating negative cycle. Now, what do you understand by self-perpetuating? You are only triggering the continuity of that aggression. That is what is called self-perpetuating. See, the other person, suppose in a group, you are not allowed to be a member of that group. Suppose in your college, in the friend group, they do not allow you to come into their group. You get very angry. And that anger, what it makes you to do, you scream, you behave in a very weird way. And some things you talk, you insult them, something you do. That will happen, that will trigger, what will it happen? That will trigger their more isolating you from the group. Whatever little chances are there to take you into the group, that will be lost because of your behavior. They'll say, chalo, this lady is very behaving in a very weird way. Let us not take her into the group. So they'll isolate you more. Once you are more isolated, again you will become more doubly angry and aggressive. That will have a repercussion on the group people. So this way, it is a self-perpetuating. You are not aware of the fact that your own behavior is creating this difficulty and they are not allowing you in the group. Have you understood the meaning self-perpetuating? So this is what it creates a negative cycle. Second is Media violence, as you know very well, in the media all over, you see exposure to media violence. One each other, they are boxing, they're killing, they're stabbing, they're doing all sorts of violence. So media violence also is a determinant of aggression, may be one factor contributing the high levels of violence in countries where such materials are viewed by large numbers of people. Nowadays, they think it's a great also. They feel, oh, what a lovely job I have done by, killing someone or being insulting to someone. All these images and everything is being created by the media only. So, research on exposure to violent television, movies, video games, and music indicate that such materials significantly increase the likelihood of aggressive behavior by people exposed to them. So the people who look into all these kinds of advertisements or movies or videos, they tend to become more aggressive. Cultural factors. Then you have cultural factors which contribute to the increasing of aggression. The cultural factors, while aggression is often triggered by the words or deeds of other people, it can also stem from cultural factors, beliefs, norms, and expectations in a given culture, suggesting that aggression is appropriate or perhaps even required under certain circumstances. Social psychologists have taken careful note of this fact in recent research on what is known as cultures of honor. Cultures of honor. That means if you behave in a certain aggressive kind, you're supposed to be great. You're supposed to be a very, very excellent human being. Cultures in which there are strong norms indicating that aggression is an appropriate response to insults to one's honor. Suppose someone is insulting, throwing insult after insult. If you are not aggressive, that culture, that social culture, social structure will not like it. Will say, "Oh, what a person this person is. He's not responding properly. He should be aggressive." That kind of culture promotes, encourages aggressive behavior. There are certain cultures which say that a man, the head of the family, should behave in certain aggressive ways, certain fashion. If he is mild and docile, he is treated to be very nothing, good for nothing person. Now, especially when honor means, family honor, village honor is taken into consideration. That time the person is expected to be aggressive in his response. Next is sexual jealousy, infidelity, real or imagined. It can be real or it can be imagined. Occurs in every society, even in ones that greatly restrict informal contact between women and men. But even if actual infidelity does not occur, sexual jealousy, the suspicion or fear that it might, can be a powerful motivator of aggressive behaviors. So, this is another factor for aggressive behavior. It is jealousy, sexual jealousy. It may be true, it may not be true also, but then it might trigger aggressive behavior. In cultures of honor, such behavior by women is viewed as especially threatening to male honor and can result in drastic responses, severe punishment for both the women and men involved in such contacts. So here they are saying that if it is for behavior, such kind of behavior, if by women, cultures of honor, again in cultures of honor, such kind of behavior is noticed in men and or women, then severe punishment is given to those people involved in sexual jealousy or infidelity also, if it is real. Now, precarious manhood. Different cultures define manhood in contrasting ways, but around the world it seems to involve more than mere maturation, attaining full growth and sexual maturity. Rather, the transition to manhood is often marked by a special ceremonies and involves a boost in status. So this is called precarious manhood, means when a person is entering into manhood, certain rituals are followed, certain cultures and all to involve to boost his status. Now, personality factors. There are several aspects of personality that seems to play an important role in aggression. Again, this is another factor contributing to aggression. Personality of each person. By nature, by personality, if a person is very aggressive, then that's it. No one can do anything. So it might aggravate with other situations coming into the picture. Situational factors. One is personality factors, the next is situational factors. What are the situational factors? Rising to anger causes aggression, alcohol. These two are the main things which might aggravate aggression, anger and alcohol. In alcohol consumption, they don't know what is it they are doing also. They become so aggressive. And keep hearing so many stories, especially these labor class people. They men tend to drink a lot and all. They have alcohol. They come home in the night. They beat their children. They beat their wives. They do all kinds of nonsense. With alcohol, the aggression increases in a person. Now, how to prevent? We have understood about aggression, what are the factors contributing to aggression. Now, coming to what are the how to prevent and how to control aggression. Aggression is not an inevitable or unalterable form of behavior. It's not something that it will be there or we can't do anything. Of course, we can do something to prevent aggression. On the contrary, since it seems from a complex interplay between cognitions, situational factors, and personal characteristics, it can be prevented or reduced. So this is a interplay between what cognitions are higher level of thinking. Situational factors, as we observe the situations also monitors our aggression, and personal characteristics, that is whether we are having anger, what type of a personal traits we have. All these three interplay plays a very vital role in aggression prevention. Now, punishment. What is the punishment? In most societies throughout the world, punishment, now let me complete the earlier thing, prevention and control. Once we are aware of all these factors, that situational factors are playing a role, and then personal characteristics, when we understand all this, we can prevent or aggression can be reduced. Next is punishment. Punishment also helps reducing the aggression. How? In most societies throughout the world, punishment, delivery of aversive consequences is a major technique for reducing aggression. So this is one of the technique. What is one of the technique? Punishment for reducing aggression. People who engage in such behavior receive large fines, are put in prison, and in some countries are placed in solitary confinement or receive physical punishment for their aggressive actions. So, punishment is one of the preventive measures. Next is self regulation. From an evolutionary perspective, now we have done evolutionary theory of Darwin, right? From their perspective, aggression can be viewed as adaptive behavior, at least in some situations. For instance, competition for desirable mates is often intense, and one way to win in such contests is through aggression against potential rivals. So, if you have to have something, if you have to win something, you will be aggressive so that you can win. So, this is the self regulation. Next is especially for males, strong tendencies to aggression against others can yield beneficial outcomes. On the other hand, living together in human society often requires restraining aggressive behavior. Lastly, lashing out at others in response to every provocation is definitely not adaptive and can greatly disrupt social life. So, lashing out at others, which is that being very aggressive, is not a response for any provocation. External situation may be very provocative, but lashing out And being aggressive is not the suggestion, is not the way to look at it. That is what it is being said. It is totally disruptive. It disrupts the social life. Now, catharsis. The catharsis hypothesis is of the view. This is another viewpoint. Is of the view that if individuals give vent to their anger and hostility in non-harmful ways, their tendencies to engage in more dangerous types of aggression will be reduced. The catharsis hypothesis says that if individuals can giving vent means when a person is very angry, it has to come out in some way, venting their emotions. So if they can vent their anger and hostility in non-harmful ways. Now, what are the non-harmful ways? Now, one is that they say that you count 10. When you're very angry, you count 10. That by then your anger subsides. This is one example. This is a non-harmful way. If they can do it in a non-harmful way, the tendencies to engage in more dangerous types of aggression will be reduced. So this is another way of reducing aggression. It appears that so-called venting activities such as watching, reading about, or imagining aggressive actions, or even engaging in play aggression such as punching a punching bag, are more likely to increase subsequent aggression than to reduce it. You should be very careful what type of venting activities you are doing. Now, suppose it says that if you are watching more videos of aggression, boxing and stomping and all, so there are chances that your aggression might increase instead of decreasing. So you should be very careful in choosing what kind of activities you are engaging in to reduce your aggression. Next, social learning approach. There is another approach called social learning approach, which tells us how aggression can be diminished, can be reduced. The role of parenting. A large number of studies have demonstrated the importance of parenting style in the transmission of values and in the encouragement of pro-social behaviors. Now, different kind of parentings are there. Some parents, like it's called helicopter parenting, and then you have democratic parenting. Different kinds of parentings are there, in which the child learns whatever the parents teach, the value system, the belief system, including everything. So here, what happens is, now this slide, parenting style in the transmission of values and in the encouragement of pro-social behavior. Indeed, parental support predicts a strong sense of self-worth and security, great psychological well-being, and other positive outcomes. If in the parenting and the family background, lots of security is given, self-worth is shown, then what happens? Generally, also the aggression of the child will be in a very, very low level. That will become his personality trait. He will not be aggressive. This is what the social learning approach says. Indeed, parental support predicts a strong sense of self-worth and security, greater psychological well-being, and other positive outcomes. Parental control helps to shape responsible conformity and self-control in children. This is very, very, very important. What type of a parental environment, what type of a family background the child has. So, with conformity, self control, all these things can be taught in the families. The rules and guidelines parents set and enforce teach children about group and societal standards of behavior. So, the children learn in the family from the parents how to behave well and how to be in self control, how to be responsible, etc. Now, self esteem. The other is self esteem. Procedures designed to protect or bolster people's self esteem might prevent them from engaging in aggression because the threat to their inflated self image would be reduced. How wonderfully said. They say that you procedure designed to protect. If procedure is there to protect your self esteem, then this might prevent from engaging in violence or aggression. Why? Because your self-image will be spoiled. So you will not do it. So you will not be aggressive. As simple as that. Self-image. You want to protect your self-image. That is why you will not be aggressive or violent. Now, coming to the summary of the whole unit, social life is filled with small acts of kindness. One that who is there? Pujita, can you please read this slide? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Social life is filled with the small acts of kindness,
Hmm.
one that we perform or once we receive from others.
Hmm.
Deciding to help in an emergency situation is not a simple one-time decision. Rather, it involves a number of steps or decisions, and only if all of these decisions are positive does actually
Hmm.
helping occur.
Hmm.
Aggression, on the other hand, involves action designed to authorities in some way. Social, cultural, personality factors act as major determinants of aggression. Aggression is not an inevitable or unattainable form of
Alterable. Unalterable.
unalterable form of a behavior. On the contrary, since it stems from a complex interplay between the conjugated situational factors and personal characteristics, it can be prevented or reduced.
So, okay, understood this? Whatever you
Yes,
have said?
ma'am.
Okay, very good. Let's move on. Now, maybe Sarita can read this. Oh, that's all. This is the last. So, this is the summary of the whole unit that has described about aggression and how it can be controlled, how it can be reduced. So, have you understood the whole unit 12? Are there any doubts or questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now let's come to the let us come to the questions I have. Where is that? I have prepared the questions. Where is it gone?
Ma'am, you are in mute, ma'am.
Okay, so now can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see this? I have shared this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so okay, Pujita, just quickly read out the question. This is block 1, introduction to social psychology and social perception. Read the question. What is the first question?
Define social psychology. What is the goal of social psychology?
Okay. Second.
Write a short note on the historical origins of social psychology. Right, briefly. Brief.
Right,
Ma'am,
about the different methods of social psychology. Now, according to you, what is the relevance of social psychology in our real life? What do you understand about the term attribution? Explain the meaning and nature of the term. What are the different theories on attribution? Critically examine Kelly's theory of causal, casual attribution, not causal, casual. Or no, this is causal attribution, not casual. Okay. Critically examine the sources of errors in attribution. So, all these questions I have put here in this. So, how do you want me to send this? Or do you think you can click a screenshot, you can take it? So these are the block 4. 24 questions I've written here. Okay. So I think you, Pujita, only you asked me, no, about the questions? It was you who asked me.
I think all the members asked for the questions, ma'am.
So how are you all planning to take it?
I'm taking photo, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Ma'am, can you scroll once again? Ma'am, next.
Next. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So with this, we come to the end of the session that we have completed. I hope all of you, whoever has attended, have understood. I think we don't have any more classes, right?
Yes, ma'am, I think.
Okay. So when are your exams starting? I did see it, but I don't remember.
February.
You have got the timetable?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, February. I think you have put it up in the group also, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, good, good. February, when do you have the social psychology?
So psychology 26th.
26th of February. Okay. Okay, then. All the best. I hope you all have started studying. And all the best for your exams. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, then. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.